This is CBS.
Good evening, everyone. The University of Minnesota is bracing for the state's latest possible budget fix, a move that could mean the delay of $39 million to the university. It appears that a burning controversy over fireplaces in Stillwater is now headed for the courtroom. Catherine Raywolf will have that. And is this any way at all to run a railroad? Well, two backyard rail barons near Lindstrom think so, and they're building their own railroad to prove it. At the Metrodome this afternoon, the big bat of Tom Brunansky helped to lift the Minnesota Twins to another win over the Brewers. Those stories and more coming up next on the 6 p.m. report.
To run the Hat of the Month Club in a businesslike way, the boss has to keep the books, organize the files, write the letters, be creative, and still keep on top of things. The boss could bring home a tool for modern times, the IBM personal computer. It can help the business person wear many hats and sell even more. The IBM personal computer. Try one on at a store near you.
Does your copier need a repairman standing by for emergencies? Is your copier repairman at your place more than his? Then it's time for a Panasonic. All Panasonic copiers from our reduction copier on down use advanced electronics and are engineered to make thousands of copies without a break. So if your copier repairman's become a permanent fixture, it's time for a Panasonic copier.
See Panasonic copiers at Copy Duplicating Products in Bloomington.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
From WCCO Television, the Northwest's leading news station, this is the 6 p.m. report.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks much for joining us. Officials of higher education in Minnesota are paying close attention to the high finances of state officials these days. The University of Minnesota says it may have to borrow money on the commercial market or dip into its investment funds if the state of Minnesota follows a budget balancing recommendation put forward this past week by the state's finance department. Now, that plan would delay the payment of $39 million in state aid to the university in May and June. The university says the human impact of the delay in payments would be nil. No layoffs are planned and no tuition increases. Therefore, the U says the quality of its educational programs would not be damaged by the delay if the payments are then made in the first few days of July.
We're talking about a cash flow problem for as much as 60 days. We think we can cope with it. We wish that we didn't have to. It will have some cost, but they will be manageable.
In the period 1981 to 83, the university has coped with state aid cuts of $54 million. The possible delay in payments would cost the U another $500,000 to $750,000 in interest charges or lost income from investments. Unless revenue projections improve after May 10th, and that is a distinct possibility, the legislature may not have many choices. It's supposed to adjourn in 3 weeks, and by Constitution, the budget must be balanced on June 30th. The quick approaching end of the biennium makes implementation of new taxes unfeasible. The university, while willing to help out now, says it hopes any payment shift does not somehow become a payment cut.
We really think we've borne at least our fair share of the state's general problems, and we've done so in a cooperative spirit with the state. We're now being asked to bear a very, very high share of what appears to be a temporary shortfall in revenues, and we've also indicated our willingness to accommodate that on the understanding that it's not a permanent cut.
Governor Perpich's press secretary, Jerry Nelson, told us yesterday that no decision has been made on a possible payment delay, and he said he hoped that revenue income would improve and perhaps make a decision a moot point. And the university says it has not firmly decided whether it would borrow money or dip into investments if the payments are delayed. Another aspect of the state's budget dealings will start affecting us all tomorrow at the gasoline pump. That's when a 3-cent-a-gallon increase in the state's gasoline tax is set to take effect. That raises the state tax to 16 cents a gallon. It is scheduled to go up another penny next January. Tomorrow also marks the first day that utilities could begin shutting off service to customers who are behind in their bills. April 15th is the legal shutoff date, but at the request of Governor Rudy Perpich, 11 of the state's 17 utilities agreed to postpone the cutoffs until May 1st. The utilities are not expected to actually begin shutting off service to customers until Monday, when full crews return to their jobs. Between them, Menegasco and NSP estimates that some 10,000 customers could be affected by the shut-off rule in the Twin Cities area alone. In Stillwater, there are an estimated 300 homeowners with fireplaces in need of repair. They live in an area known as the Croywood Addition, and they've been warned that their fireplaces may also be fire hazards. So far, efforts to negotiate a settlement with the contractor, Orrin Thompson, have failed. And now, as Catherine Raywalt reports, it appears that the courts may be asked to decide who pays for the repairs.
Rich Cummings hasn't used his fireplace in 4 months, not since he was told it was dangerous, that it could burn his house down. Looking up his chimney, the problem is obvious. The flue is faulty, the mortar gaping. That plus structural defects mean creosote could build up outside the flue, and if that ignites, the house could go. Cummings has been advised to rebuild the entire fireplace.
I certainly don't want to have a nice, cozy fire going some night, go to bed, and not wake up. You know, 4 little kids in the house, it's a danger.
Cummings and his neighbors are also worried about property values. Jack Finley did sell his house last week, but despite the fireplace.
It was either put money in escrow or take some off the price of the sale of the house. And I chose to take it off the sale of the house.
Orrin Thompson built these houses in the mid-'70s, and it is back to Orrin Thompson these people have gone with their problem. The builder has moved from uninterested to willing to negotiate, but the sides are still miles apart. The company says it will be sending out letters outlining its latest offer within the week. Rich Cummings is one of several neighbors involved in the talks, and he is disappointed.
A Band-Aid solution to a major problem. He's not really offering us anything that's going to do anything to help keep the value of the homes. In fact, the major solution he's offered is an insert system, and personally, I wouldn't have an insert in my fireplace. It just wouldn't look good.
The Croywood homeowners will meet here at the Lily Lake Elementary School Monday night. They intend to discuss their options and decide whether to accept an offer from Orrin Thompson or go ahead with the lawsuit. With photographer Gordy Leach, I'm Catherine Raywalt, WCCO Television News in Stillwater.
After 23 years on the job, a St. Paul mailman today gave up his appointed rounds. We'll have that story coming up in just a moment.
Volkswagen announces a new concept. Too much car for the money. Introducing the Wolfsburg Limited Edition Rabbit. Your choice of automatic or 5-speed stick with fuel injection, power steering, velour seats, and much, much more. This car should cost a small fortune, but now you can get this car for only $69.90. The Wolfsburg Limited Edition Rabbit.
With all the wacky clothes and funky clothes and in today, out tomorrow clothes. Thank goodness for Catalina clothes. Catalina, fashion, not fad.
If the one thing you don't have is time to spend cooking, the one thing you should have is a Cuisinart food processor. It makes fast work out of slicing 6 tomatoes, shredding 10 ounces of cheddar cheese, kneading 3 pounds of bread dough, mixing a 2-pound chocolate cake. The Cuisinart food processor. Haven't you spent enough time without one?
For public schools, how are they doing? Kay and Johnny Reed? Some say our schools are doing an excellent job of educating our children. Others say the schools are failing. One thing is certain, the public schools have changed, in some cases dramatically, over the last 30 years. How have they changed, and what do the changes mean for our children? I'm Barb Brown. Project Children examines schools, Saturday on the 10 p.m. report.
Age has finally accomplished what neither rain nor sleet nor dark of night could do. It's forced Sheldon Tolan to leave his appointed rounds. For 23 years now, Tolan has been delivering mail along the same route in St. Paul. And while handing out letters filled with news from family and friends, Tolan has made a few friends of his own. And today, some of them got together to offer a final farewell to the retiring mailman. And as he handed out his last few letters, Tolan said he's found that people are the best part of the job.
I'm going to miss all the fine people I've delivered mail to for the past 23 years on this street. I've seen little kids grow up into young adulthood, and it's really been a very satisfying experience. And I really enjoy it.
And apparently, Tolan has a few adventures of his own to remember. When asked about some of the unusual events of his career, Tolan said he couldn't talk about them on TV. So Minneapolis area doctors have taken steps to make the hard times just a little bit easier for the area's unemployed. The Hennepin County Medical Association says that 900 doctors have agreed to provide free or reduced-cost medical care. That's for people who do not have health insurance. It also applies to people living in Anoka, Scott, and Carver counties if they formerly worked in the metropolitan area. A remarkable marriage between technology and medicine led to a remarkable demonstration today in Bloomington. That's where a portable computer was used to help a man paralyzed in the legs to walk again. The device sends electrical impulses into the legs, thus stimulating the muscles. It was developed by Dr. Ernest Marsolais at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland. Today, it helped Basam Kawam, a gunshot victim, take some of his first steps since he was injured. This device is still in the study stage. It is not yet being marketed. Today's demonstration was for the Spinal Cord Society, which is meeting this weekend at the Radisson South in the Twin Cities. They're making tracks near Lindstrom, Minnesota, getting ready for the startup of the Iron Horse Central Railroad. We'll have that story and more in just a moment.
Live from Donaldson's, it's Saturday night! With 15% savings on every regular and sale-priced item in the store. But hold everything. This sale has been extended. It starts at noon and ends Saturday at midnight. It's 12 hours of savings. Live this Saturday at all Donaldson's.
Washington, apples, golden, delicious, crunchy, sweet, juicy, crisp, good.
Wouldn't a Washington apple taste good right now?
Mother's Day is Timex time. Incredible beauty. Bring the value of Timex quartz into her world.
Almost irresistible, those money market interest rates the banks have been dangling. Some gave 20% in December for a few weeks. Then in January, less. February, even less. March, April, not so much to bite at anymore. Aren't you better off now in a money market mutual fund? There's no come on, plus other benefits the banks don't offer. Money market mutual funds, the full-time professionals in the money market.
At a time when many of the nation's railroads are struggling just to stay in business, another railroad is just getting into business. It is the Iron Horse Central, the backyard railroad of a pair of brothers near Lindstrom. Their train won't carry freight when it's complete, just the memories of railroad's glory days. Jim Newman reports.
Richard Thompson's farm has horses, cows, and chickens. But his chores don't stop when the livestock's fed, the fields plowed. At the Richard Thompson farm, there's a railroad line to build. Richard and his twin brother, Bob, have worked on their dream since the mid-60s. They are building a full-gauge railroad on 40 acres of farm near Lindstrom. The mile-long line will circle a thicket, pass fields, along a roadbed leveled mainly by Richard, Bob, and a friend. They have 2 old-time engines and some 19th century rolling stock they are restoring for use on the line. Learning the forgotten technology of steam locomotives and rebuilding a boiler is as tough as laying track. But Richard Thompson doesn't care how much work it takes to build a railroad.
It's just because we like history of the American railroads. That's really what keeps us going.
The Thompson boys fell in love with railroads, playing with Lionel electric trains as youngsters. Now, Richard is an engineer with the Milwaukee Road. Originally, Richard planned to have just a chunk of track and a couple of rail cars where old-timers could recall their railroad days. The Thompsons say they got more ambitious as railroads began abandoning lines and selling rails and ties cheaply. Now, the Thompsons expect to spend the rest of their lives working on the line.
Maybe someday we could make some people happy, the children happy. Some of the kids today, they've never seen an iron horse run before on a piece of track, you know. So it just, we enjoy doing it. It's in our veins, in our blood.
The Thompsons have another 150 ties to lay to complete the route of their so-called Iron Horse Central Railroad. They expect to have one of their locomotives chugging along their line sometime this August. With photographer Rick Olson, Jim Newman, WCCO Television News, near Lindstrom, Minnesota.
Well, bad news, tan fans. Clouds are moving in, meaning Sunday may be an overcast day. Dr. Walt Lyons with the full forecast when we come back.
Uh-oh, you're going to go crazy over Blue Diamond Smokehouse almonds. So crisp and crunchy, you can't stop eating them. 7 different Blue Diamond snack flavors to drive you out of your mind. And Blue Diamond chopped almonds to pour over chocolate sundaes. Blue Diamond whole natural almonds to pour in stir-fry. Slivered almonds in salads. And Blue Diamond sliced almonds to drive you crazy on a chocolate cake. Remember, almonds have to be Blue Diamond. You'd be nutty to buy anything else.
For bugs or termites, Americans rely on one company far more than any other. Orkin. 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 Some choose us for our guaranteed service. Orkin. Some for our famous chemicals. Orkin. And some for our special care around kids and pets. Orkin. But whatever the reason, far more Americans choose Orkin Army Pest Control than any other. Orkin.
Call the Orkin Army, #1 against pests.
Al, I got you Kleenex soft teak tissues. They're softer. Yeah, softer. Try Kleenex soft teak. No, nothing softer than these.
They're softer than Puffs?
Unlike Puffs, Softeek adds a special softness fiber to make it even softer.
Yeah. Kleenex soft teak tissues.
When your nose needs the softest, use Softeek tissues.
Marvelous. Seasons on the Park, Saturday and Sunday brunch. 4 courses. Now, I might begin with a little tomato juice with Worcester sauce. Now, for appetizer, chowder or chopped liver. And served at the table are the entrees. 17 to choose from. Beef stroganoff, seafood jambalaya, eggs benedict. Desserts? Why not? Everything at Seasons on the Park is always the finest to be found in the colonies. I insist on it. I manage it. Ring us up.
I think it'll be a nice, warm, soft spring evening. Good night, as we used to say down south, for a fellow to go out sparking, courting his girl.
Oh, good luck. The weather was...
I'm not going to, but a fella could.
You're not? Oh.
No.
Okay, well, good luck anyways. It's going to be a nice night tonight, and unfortunately... Well, fortunately, this is the last day of April. April was not a hit, frankly.
Oh, no.
72 is the warmest. That's not so bad, but then we got down to 21. We averaged 3.5 degrees below normal. What really bothered me was that 21.8 inches of snow.
Oh,
yes, it was a record. You have to go back to Neanderthal times to find something that snowy around here. And I think we can say goodbye to our weekly count of the snowflakes, I hope. 74.4 is what we got this year. I think that puts us in the top 5 snowiest winters ever. And when you combine it with last winter's 95 inches, we've had about 170 inches of snow in 2 winters. Good grief. Well, what does May bring? It brings, of course, warming. The temperatures jump up in the normal to 73 by the end of the month. It's been as cool as 18 here in the cities, and it's been as hot as 106. It can go either way. Well, the 30-day outlook for rain over the upper Midwest suggests that we will have near-normal precipitation, and it has been very much above normal, really, since the beginning of the year. May temperatures sort of toss a coin. We're right near the near-normal or below-normal borderline, so the odds favor it's going to be slightly cooler than normal, but nothing devastatingly so, and it can get nippy. It's never been below 0 here during May, in spite of the folklore. 5 above at Beardsley is the coldest ever, and a couple cities, including St. Peter and New Ulm, once went to 108 during May. Today we were sort of right in between the normals and the extremes and all of that. It hit 60, and the low was 44. 54. Now, the normal this time of year is 63 and 41, so that's pretty unadventurous on the thermometer. Right now, it is still very pleasant, 59 degrees. I wouldn't spark too much, Mike, because the humidity is very low, 37%. You might start a little fire. And the area temperature show it is really quite pleasant all over, 70s even in Iowa. The one place where it's not quite so pleasant is out in the Black Hills, which are now turning white. It is snowing at higher elevations in the Black Hills. That for them is not unusual, but it does suggest weather's coming our way. But you have to look for it. Certainly on today's satellite replay, we had some showers that were here last night, moved off to the east around Milwaukee. Minnesota was just about as clear as it could be, but there's plenty of precipitation elsewhere. Down to the south, very heavy rains along the Ohio River Valley. Springfield, Missouri last night had a tornado that took 2 lives, and those thunderstorms moved east and produced up to 10 inches of rain in portions of Kentucky. That is a flash flood watch area for obvious reasons. But what we're going to have to watch as far as our forecast is this very disorganized mass of clouds that is now beginning to develop precipitation over the western part of South Dakota. The clouds are momentarily steering north, but they'll gradually move east and move in here later tonight or early tomorrow. And the reason why it's producing snow is that there's still pretty cold air, 20s and 30s for lows this morning, 22 the nation's chilly spot at Williston in North Dakota. And we're going to sort of stay right on the boundary between the real warmth to our south and the rather cold up to the north. And as that system just wiggles off to our south, we'll have off and on showers tomorrow. Maybe a bit of sunshine, but not much. And tomorrow's rains, where they had it today, they're going to get it again tomorrow. 1 to 2 inches of rain along the Ohio River Valley. 1/4 inch of rain in the southern part of Minnesota is possible, but I don't think we're going to get any particularly heavy rains here. But there's the Rapid City radar. Showers and snow flurries are beginning to break out, and they'll start moving east around 20 or 30 miles an hour later tonight, right towards us. So tonight we'll start off fair, then increasing clouds later on tonight. 41 to 46, the range in lows, east to southeast winds at 7 to a dozen mph. Then tomorrow, maybe a little bit of sun at times, but generally mostly cloudy with occasional rain showers, maybe 2 hours of rain throughout the day. High, it'll be cooler because of the clouds, 55 degrees, and the southeast winds will blow along at 12 to 18 miles an hour. In other words, not exactly a grade A day. Those showers will hang in through Monday, and then April showers will return again on Thursday in spite of the calendar. And it looks like we'll be slightly cooler than normal on the balance for the rest of the week. No freezing temperatures this week, but I remind you the first frost, or the last frost of the year, usually comes here around May 10th, and we could still have frost for another 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, we'll look out for that. Minnesota Twins make it 2 in a row over the Milwaukee Brewers, thanks to a timely home run from Tom Brunansky. Tom Hanneman with the highlights and more coming up in just a moment.
Champion Auto Stores.
From start to finish, win with Champion Auto's Weekend Winners. Start with Super Duraflex logo style splash guards. Duraflex splash guards protect your car's finish from rock chips and rust, and they're easy to install. This weekend only, Duraflex splash guards are just $1.99 a pair. A real weekend winner. From start to finish, you'll win with Champion Auto Stores.
A critical look at a recent Donahue program which featured the Posse Comitatus, a self-acknowledged anti-Semitic organization.
A person who represents the furthest out extremities of rational thought was given an hour, and for 1 out of 100 people out there, they said, yeah, gee, that's right.
60 Minutes on television doth not an anti-Semite make.
Do media people have the same moral responsibility as the rest of us?
And we hope you'll join us.
Saturday night at 11, Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood star in the terrific World War II epic, Where Eagles Dare. Posing as German soldiers, they must free an American officer held captive in an ancient castle. The fortress can only be reached by cable car high atop the mountains, Where Eagles Dare.
Allow me to introduce myself. Major Johann Schmidt, SS Military Intelligence, Stuttgart.
Saturday night at 11 on WCCO television.
I don't know. Is there something wrong with me, or is this Joey Browner just a nice guy?
There's nothing wrong with you. Obviously nothing wrong with him. Certainly, Joey Browner is not a man of indecision. He took only 3 days. That's the quickest any Viking first-round choice has taken to decide to sign with the team. Joey signed with the Vikings this afternoon. He officially became a member of the Vikings at 1 o'clock today when he etched his John Henry on 3 one-year contracts. Of course, the financial terms of the deal were not disclosed. They never are. But the pack must have been sweet for Joey to take it so quickly. After he signed, Browner told the Vikings he was relieved to have it all over with. Joey heads back to USC now to finish the semester. He'll return to the Twin Cities May 10th for the Vikings mini camp. Well, it seems everyone loves a story with a happy or surprise ending. That certainly holds true with baseball fans. This afternoon, the 23,000 who gathered inside the Metrodome were treated to both a happy and a surprise finish. We, of course, are talking about today's Twins-Brewers game. And what a game it was. Milwaukee opened an early 3-0 lead, which the Twins matched and then bettered by a run courtesy of Kent Herbeck's RBI triple off the plexiglass. That ball would have been out of here last year. Here's a ball that should have dropped over the wall but didn't. The defensive play of the contest was pulled off by Milwaukee center fielder Gorman Thomas. Gary Ward got it all about. The lead changed hands 5 times in this game. Kent Herbeck, who knocked in 3 runs with a pair of hits today, put the Twins up 5-4 with this single in the 7th, but Milwaukee countered with 3 runs in the 8th to grab a 7-5 lead. Paul Molitor knocked in the equalizer and then scored the go-ahead run, and Milwaukee was in the driver's seat. But there was more, much more to come. John Castino in the 9th inning starts things off. A double off the wall that scores a run. John was 2 for 5 today with a pair of RBIs. Kent Herbeck tied the game with a sacrifice fly before Tom Brunansky, with 2 out in the bottom of the 9th, wrote this storybook finish. Going, going, gone. A 2-run homer to end the game. And watch the reception Bruno receives at the plate. The Twins 9, Milwaukee 7. What a game. Tom was hitting just .153 with 4 RBIs heading into this contest. Let's hope the drive opened his slump wide open. Ron Davis picks up the win in relief. Peter Ladd is the loser. The rematch is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. In other American League games today, well, there were none. Both the Chicago-Toronto and Detroit-Oakland contests were washed away. Over in the National League, Philadelphia wiped out Houston 8-0. It was Chicago over Los Angeles. Atlanta beat New York 6-1. Dale Murphy with a pair of home runs in that game. Cincinnati edged Montreal, and San Diego defeated Pittsburgh by a score of 8-3. The Gopher baseball squad is not considered one of the national powerhouses this season, but they sure look that way today. Minnesota put together one of its most impressive performances ever at Siebert Field this afternoon. No individual effort was more spectacular than the pitching performance of Bill Cutchell. Bill was simply awesome today. He struck out 9 and allowed only 1 hit, a single in the 3rd. The one hitter for Bill Cutchell, who is now 2-0 in Big Ten competition. The Gophers, in the meantime, raked a number of Illinois pitchers for 13 runs in this game. Tom Steinbach brought in 3 of those runs himself with his drive over the wall in left center, his 6th home run of the season. Gophers over Illinois 13-0 in the first of 2. Minnesota beat the Fighting Illini 13-1 in the second game. Same 2 teams in another twin bill tomorrow afternoon. Well, Franklin Edwards is just a sub on a star-studded team, but the Philadelphia sharpshooter proved his worth today with a last-second field goal to beat New York 107-105. Insecurity for Knicks fans like Woody Allen is being down 3 games to none. However, the beauty of the playoffs is watching moves like this one from the one and only Julius Erving. His acrobatic driving layup was matched by this power move to the basket.
Back and forth, this game is gone. We have had 15 lead changes in this battle, and a battle it's been. Irving puts Philadelphia in the front column. Block that one, big fella. Possession.
Well, as spectacular as the doc was, Moses Malone may have had the best effort of the game. For a man 6'11", Moses put on quite a dribbling exhibition on this play. Take a look. That put the 76ers up by 6 with less than a minute left in the game. The Knicks rallied, but the Edwards shot with 2 seconds remaining won it for the 76ers. Game 4 will be televised Sunday right here on CCO, preceded by the Milwaukee-Boston contest, which begins at noon. Well, a pair of pairs are tied after 3 rounds of the Legends of Golf tournament in Austin, Texas. Peter Thompson and Kel Nagel are 14 under par, along with Miller Barber and Julius Boros. The 62-year-old Boros showed his nerves are still steel on this putt. He put it in, which put he and Barber ahead, but Miller missed a short one on 18 to drop them into a tie. All of these golfers are at least 50 years old, and some of them are as great as this one. Of course, Sam Snead, the one and only, made this 110-yard approach look easy. The best ball tournament winds up tomorrow. Another Lendl-McEnroe match is on tap. This one, the Dallas WCT finals tomorrow. Today, John McEnroe beat Vitas Gerulaitis in straight sets, 6-3, 6-3, 6-2. Johnny Mac has reached the WCT finals 5 times, winning twice. The battle of Von Lendl for the $150,000 first prize money. Today, Lendl beat Bill Scanlon 6-1, 6-7, 6-3, 6-3. And this is hockey night, of course, on Long Island. The Islanders and Boston Bruins will meet in the 3rd game of their series. Chicago and Edmonton will face off in Chicago tomorrow night.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. That'll do it for tonight's 6 p.m. report. We will be back at 10 and hope you join us then. Good night, everyone.
Speaking of pizza for lunch, it'll probably take 5 minutes.
New personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut, starting at $1.59 and ready in 5 minutes, or your next one's free.
This is dumb. I'm really dumb. I don't have time for a pizza for lunch. Whoa.
New personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut. Lunch for one and ready in 5 minutes, or your next one's free. Wow.
Guaranteed.